Hey, Bon1 here back again. I've been asked to do a tutorial on how to create specular maps. If you listen on the forums, I keep stressing how important a specular map is. For this example today, this is a model, really cool model by Cosmic Prophet that he's asked me to do a specular map for this. I've got it loaded in a dark shader along with the textures that he provided for it. Really cool model. The diffuse map and normal map are very well done. I like the way he's done the inset panels here and these bars. It looks really cool. The specular map he provided was automatically generated by a program called Shader Map Pro. I'm not a fan of using these type of specular maps. I think it's a wasted opportunity. It's better to create these by yourself. I also hear people saying, oh, to make a specular map, all you need to do is just use a black and white version of your diffuse map. Again, this might work by chance, but usually it doesn't. And let me show you why. Here's the specular map from Shader Map Pro. You'll see, first of all, it's way too shiny, and it doesn't really give any indication of what this is made out of other than it's some type of shiny material. Now, when I look at the diffuse map in Photoshop, this looks to me like it's some type of metal panel. It's probably made out of brushed aluminum panels. That's what I see it. So how would I make a specular map to show that? Well, first of all, back in dark shader here, again, here's the automatically generated specular map. Let me show you, switch over to my specular map and show you how cool this looks, okay? There we go. Now let me zoom in here. Doesn't that look cool? As the light goes over it, you can see these swirl marks from the brushed aluminum. It really adds a lot of detail. Let me just flip back here. Here's the automatically generated one. See, it's just kind of blah. Now, here's mine again. Isn't that cool? You really get the sense that it's made out of this brushed metal that's dirty and faded and scratched up. Really neat. So back over in Photoshop here, let me show you how I did this. The first thing I did was from CG Textures, I got this texture of this metal. You'll see it has all these scratches and swirl marks on it. And what I did first of all is I darkened it first of all. Let me zoom in here. And I just clone stamped it all over the image. So you get this all over the image, all these swirl marks. That's our base for it. The next thing I did was a trick with the normal map. I took the normal map, here it is, and in Photoshop, I ran this filter called Stylize Find Edges, and it gave me something like this. Now what I did was desaturated it, made it black and white, and then inverted it. And now what we have are these white edges where all the edges on the normal map are. And this is really important. Now I'm going to do a levels adjustment here just to kind of tighten things up here, kind of darken it a bit. But what this does is really helps the edges of the normal map pop out in the specular map. So what I did was I took this texture over to the swirl mark texture and I overlaid it with screen mode. That way just the brighter portions show up in the specular map, and that really helps bring out the edges of the model. The next thing I did was take the diffuse map and I desaturated it and overlaid it on top of everything with an opacity of 69%. A lot of this is just trial and error. This took me about 20 or 30 minutes to make this spec map, and it was just kind of a back and forth, just trying different things. Then the final thing I did was took all the layers and sharpened them. So this is the final spec map here with all three layers, the swirl marks, the edges from the normal map, the diffuse map desaturated, and then I just sharpened everything. And back in dark shader, this is the result we get. Really neat. I really like the way this turns out. And if you're just using a desaturated version of the diffuse map or some type of automatically generated spec map, you're really missing an opportunity to add a lot of detail in. You'll see, just look how much more realistic that looks. And the cool thing is you only see those scratches when the light washes over the model, just like you would in real life. You wouldn't normally see these until a light hits it and reflects back at you. Now let me show you one other cool trick for doing specular maps. Let me just load in another model here, just a box, and I'll load in a couple other diffuse maps. This is just, let me turn the specular all the way down here. And you'll see we have a floor surface. This is like a tiled floor. Now, what I did in Photoshop here was I took this image of some dirty footprints and I darkened it and just clone stamped it all around the image. You'll see I don't have anything in this image with the diffuse map, the tiles. Here are the tiles here. Here's the diffuse map with the footprints. Now let's look at this when I turn on the spec map in a dark shader. Let me just turn the slider up. Now when the light washes over it, you'll see all these dirty footprints. I mean, isn't that really cool? I mean, that's how it would look in real life. On a floor like this, it normally would look pretty clean until you get light reflecting off of it and you'll see all these dirty footprints on it. It really adds a lot of realism. And goes to show you how important a specular map is. This model isn't even using a normal map. For the normal map here, I'm just using a plain blue texture. But all this added detail is from the specular map. So you'll see, I mean, I would say the specular map is even more important than the normal map for simulating different types of surfaces. Clean, dirty, scratched, you name it. So anyway, I hope you learned something from this and can apply it to your own artwork and games. So have fun. Bye-bye.